Are there Nephilim in the world today? I believe that there are. But I don't believe that they are half-breed angel and human amalgamation that some Christians believe. And I also believe, by the way, that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, that they're part of the Nephilim. Huh? Well, yeah, let me explain. Most Christians who study this go straight to Genesis 6, but then miss what it says in Genesis 4. And by the way, Nephilim doesn't just mean physical giant. The word also means tyrant. So please keep that in mind. Nephilim, tyrant. Nephilim, tyrant. Okay? In Genesis 6, it says there, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days. There were what? Giants. Nephilim. In the earth in those days. And also after that, it says, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So giants or Nephilim, tyrants, were not a result of the sons of God going into the daughters of men, because it says that the giants were already present in the earth in those days, and also after that. After what? After the sons of God came into the daughters of men. So giants or Nephilim or tyrants were already there before and after the sons of God came into the daughters of men. So Nephilim were not the offspring. So let's just get that clear. Let's get that out the way. Giants, tyrants, already existed before and after the sons of God and the daughters of men, the whole ordeal. So again, Genesis 6, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man, it says, right? For that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw, it says, that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination and the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So right off the bat, we see sons of God, daughters of men. Sons of God, daughters of men. Well, that must be human daughters and angelic beings. Is it? Human daughters and angelic beings? In Job 38, God explains to Job how the world was created. He says, Job 38, starting from verse 4, where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars, it says, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Sons of God. So when God created the world, the sons of God were present, which has to be the angelic hosts. And so naturally we would say, sons of God in Job were angels, then sons of God who came into the daughters of men in Genesis 6 were also angels. And if that's all that we had, if that's all that we knew about the sons of God, the assessment wouldn't be wrong. But fortunately for us, we have the whole of Scripture to investigate in the Bible. There are instances where if you had a consensual sex with another, it is considered a type of marriage, even if there is no covenantal papers to show. In the case of Jacob, he didn't want to marry Leah. But since they had sex, the sex was the consummation of the marriage. During that time, the marriage covenant was considered completed or sealed through the wedding night and sexual union. Jacob did not want to marry Leah, but since Jacob laid with Leah, had relations with Leah, Leah was now considered his wife. That is why Jacob did not simply leave her the next morning. Okay? They were considered married after sex. Sex is the consummation of marriage. In John 4, Jesus speaks to a Samaritan woman and says, "Thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband." Why? Because she had sex with 5 men. She had sex with 5 men. Sex is the consummation of the marriage. So now in Matthew 22, Jesus says, "For in the resurrection we, human beings, neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven." So now we see that angels of God neither marry nor are given in marriage. Marriage, again, by the way, is completed in the union of sex. So angels don't do that. But one might say that doesn't mean angels cannot reproduce with a human being or another angel. Well, I would say we need a second witness for that. And a third witness would be a done deal. But there's not even a second witness. The only leg that theory has to stand on is Genesis 6. So Job 38 calls the angelic hosts sons of God. You know what other groups of beings are called sons of God? There are 3. There are 3 groups of beings in the Bible that are called sons of God, and only one of those 3 groups can reproduce. Of course, according to multiple testimonies in the Bible, and I don't even have to bring those witnesses up because we all should already know, and it's obvious, okay? The first group, sons of God, are the angelic hosts, okay? Sons of God are the angelic hosts with no witness in the Bible that says that they can even physically reproduce with other angels and human beings. Okay? The second group we don't have to mention really, so that we don't get confused, but they're mentioned in a couple instances, but we don't know too much about them. Okay? Second group, we don't have to mention them. The third group, which I believe fits Genesis 6 a lot better than the angelic hosts, are the believers. 1 John 3 and verse 1 says, "Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God." We, the believers, are called the sons of God. Okay, and last time I checked, about 3 years ago, human believers can conceive and bear children. Last time I checked. Okay, about 3 years ago. Human believers can conceive and bear children. Now watch this. John 1 and verse 12. "But as many as received him," many believers, "as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that" what? "Believe on his name." Those who believe on his name, the believers, they become the sons of God. Now, I believe that the sons of God in Genesis 6 are not angelic hosts, because there are no other witnesses in the Bible that say angels can reproduce. And in fact, one witness in Jesus Christ who claimed the opposite, that they don't marry or are given in marriage, and sex being the seal or completion of the marriage. I believe that the sons of God there are believers who saw women who are non-believers, and they gave birth to tyrants. They married women who are non-believers. These believers, so-called believers, and by the way, if you are a believer, and then you saw women who are not believers and wanted to impregnate them, knowing that you are a son of God, are you still considered a son of God? I don't know. That's for you guys to answer. So if they are believers, who are they specifically? Remember, John 1 verse 12, but as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. So those who believe on his name, those who call upon the name of God, are called the sons of God. Go to Genesis 4. Go to Genesis 4. In Genesis 4, Adam and Eve conceive, and out came Seth, their son Seth. Verse 25, it says, verse 25 and 26, it says, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God said she, hath appointed me another seed. For God, said she, Eve, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew, and to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then it says, began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So Seth begot Enos, and then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So those who call upon the name of the Lord are called what? Sons of God. Sons of God. So Seth's descendants, Enos's descendants, are sons of God because they began to call upon the name of the Lord. John 1 verse 12, they are now sons of God. So what's this got to do with Trump and JD Vance? And the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men. Mighty men meaning what? Those who are in power. Okay, mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of men was great in the earth, and that every imagination and the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So right after the mingling of righteousness and unrighteousness, the wickedness of man became great on the earth. So great that God had to flood the world during Noah's time. And by the way, Jesus says that the end will be like the days of Noah. So we have men in office who claim to call upon the name of the Lord. Who claim to call upon the name of the Lord. Who is that? We have men in office. Trump, JD Vance, who claim righteousness, right? Who claim to call upon the name of the Lord, but mingle with harlot churches. They bring in righteous ideas and mix these righteous ideas with unrighteous ideas. Do you know that we have men and women in powerful positions that want to uphold worship unto God? That's a righteous idea. But they want to legislate and enforce that worship to God. That's an unrighteous idea. Mixing righteous and unrighteous. What happens now if they try to legislate and enforce a style of worship that we don't agree with? Will they fine us? Will they penalize us? Take us to jail? Persecute us? Legislate a death decree? Do you know what that means? Do you know what that is? When someone unfairly legislates a death decree and makes worship religious laws where you are in a disadvantage because of your worship style. You know what that is? That's tyrannical. Nephilim, tyrants. Praise God always.